My name is Admiral Catherine Kate Harrington. But across the fleet, sailors don't usually call me that. Most of them just say one thing when I walk onto the bridge. The Lady Admiral. I didn't earn that title sitting behind a desk in Washington. I earned it in the middle of angry oceans, missile drills, and long nights where one wrong call could cost hundreds of lives. 30 years in the United States Navy will teach you one thing real fast. The ocean doesn't care about your rank. And the enemy sure as hell doesn't either. And on the night everything changed, I was standing on the bridge of one of the most powerful warships ever built. The USS Abraham Lincoln. A floating city. A fortress of steel. And for the first time in my career, I was about to watch it bleed. The mission. The Persian Gulf always feels tense. Even when nothing is happening, something feels like it might. Our carrier strike group had been deployed after intelligence reports warned that Iran was preparing something big. Drones. Missiles. Electronic warfare. The whole package. Washington didn't want a war. But they wanted the fleet ready in case Tehran tried something stupid. So they sent us. Our strike group included USS Abraham Lincoln, nuclear aircraft carrier, 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, 1 guided missile cruiser, attack submarine support, air wing of F-35s F/A-18 Super Hornets, 18G Growlers. In simple terms, if trouble showed up, we were the biggest stick in the ocean. The calm before chaos. It was just after midnight. The sea was calm. Too calm. I stood on the bridge looking over the dark water while the radar screens glowed behind me. Commander Jake Morales walked over holding a tablet. "Admiral," he said, "ISR drones are picking up unusual traffic along the Iranian coast." I raised an eyebrow. "How unusual?" Jake shrugged. "Let's just say someone's moving a lot of toys tonight." I leaned over the radar console. "All right, folks," I said. "Eyes open. Something smells funny." One of the radar techs chuckled. "Ma'am, the Gulf always smells funny." I smirked. "Yeah, but tonight it smells like trouble." The first contact. 2 minutes later the radar operator's voice cracked through the bridge. "Contact." Everyone froze. "Talk to me," I said calmly. "Multiple aerial objects, rising from Iranian territory." "How many?" The operator zoomed in. Then he said the words that made the room go silent. "Ma'am, we're counting hundreds." Jake leaned over the screen. "Oh hell." The system started calculating trajectories. One number appeared on the screen. 412. 412 drones. Heading straight toward the Gulf. Heading toward us. Holy hell. Jake stared at the radar. "Admiral, that's a swarm." I crossed my arms. "Not a swarm." I said quietly, "That's a damn invasion." Drone warfare had changed the battlefield in the last decade. A few drones were easy to handle. But hundreds? That was different. The enemy wasn't trying to sneak through. They were trying to overwhelm us. Battle stations. I grabbed the intercom. "Attention all hands. This is Admiral Harrington." My voice echoed through the carrier. "General quarters. General quarters." The alarm started ringing. Red lights flashed across the ship. Crew members ran through the corridors. Jets began preparing for launch. "Jake," I said, "get our birds in the air." "Yes, ma'am." Within minutes, F-35s were launching. Super Hornets were arming missiles. Growlers were preparing electronic warfare. The night sky lit up with afterburners. The battle had started. Drone storm. The first intercept happened 40 miles out. Fox 3. A pilot shouted over the radio. Missiles streaked into the sky. Drones exploded like fireworks. But the radar still looked like a nightmare. Hundreds more were coming. Jake shook his head. "This is insane." I watched calmly. "No." I said quietly. "This is planned." Iran wasn't trying to hit us with drones. They were distracting us. The hidden strike. Something felt wrong. Too wrong. "Radar," I said. "Yes, Admiral." "Run deep scan for high-speed objects." 5 seconds passed. Then the operator's voice went pale. "Contact." "Where?" "Low altitude. Extremely fast, approaching carrier group." Jake leaned forward. "How fast?" The operator swallowed. Supersonic. My heart skipped once. Missile. The missile. Impact estimate? 10 seconds. Jake shouted. Engage CWS. The phalanx guns on the carrier began spinning. A storm of bullets filled the air. But something else was happening. The radar screens started flickering. Electronic interference. Heavy. Growler pilots yelled over the radio. Admiral, we're getting jammed. Massive EW interference. Iran had activated full electronic warfare. Our sensors were going blind. And the missile kept coming. The moment everything changed. 5 seconds, the operator shouted. I grabbed the railing. The entire bridge went silent. Then, a flash of white light ripped across the night sky. Boom. The deck shook violently. The carrier trembled like a wounded giant. Metal screamed. Alarms exploded everywhere. Missile impact. Smoke filled the air. Jake grabbed a console. Admiral, flight deck is hit. I looked out the window. Flames were rising from the carrier deck. Jets were burning. Crew were running. The USS Abraham Lincoln, the most powerful warship in the region, had just taken a direct hit. Chaos in the sky. But the nightmare wasn't over. Several aircraft returning from intercept were approaching. The problem? Our radar was still jammed. And Iranian electronic warfare was spoofing signals. Nearby Bahrain air defenses detected incoming aircraft. But their systems were confused. They believed hostile planes were entering their airspace. Within seconds, missiles launched. Jake looked at the screen. His face turned white. Oh no. I stared. Tell me that's not what I think it is. He whispered. Bahrain just fired on our jets. Friendly fire disaster. 8 American aircraft were approaching the Gulf corridor. Bahrain's defense system misidentified them. One by one, missiles struck. Explosions lit up the sky. Radio chatter turned into screams. Mayday! Mayday! I'm hit. I'm going down. Jake slammed the console. Jesus Christ. Within minutes, 8 to 10 aircraft were destroyed. The carrier was burning. The sky was chaos. And the night wasn't even halfway over. The Lady Admiral's decision. Smoke filled the bridge. Damage control teams were fighting fires across the ship. The flight deck was barely operational. Our most powerful warship was crippled. Jake looked at me. Admiral, what now? I stared at the burning horizon. Hundreds of drones still filled the sky. Iran had launched the biggest drone strike the Gulf had ever seen. And they had just taken down an American carrier's capability. I slowly tightened my gloves. Then I said something the entire bridge would remember forever. All right, boys. My voice was cold. Playtime's over. And that night in the Persian Gulf, I watched one of the most powerful warships ever built take a punch that would have sunk lesser ships. The USS Abraham Lincoln was burning. Not sinking, but hurting. And in naval warfare, a wounded carrier is the kind of thing that makes enemies smell blood in the water. The impact zone. Smoke rolled across the flight deck like a black storm. Flames were rising near the forward launch catapult where the supersonic missile had slammed into the carrier. I grabbed the bridge intercom. Damage control report. A voice crackled through the static. Admiral, this is DC Central. We've got major fire on the flight deck. Catapult 2 is destroyed. Fuel lines are ruptured. I closed my eyes for half a second. That missile hadn't just hit metal. It hit the heart of flight operations. Commander Jake Morales looked at the damage display. Ma'am, our sortie capability just got cut in half. I nodded slowly. Then we fight with the half we've got. The sky still full of drones. Outside the carrier, the night sky was still alive. Drones were everywhere. Hundreds of them. Some were surveillance drones. Others were loitering munitions. Basically flying bombs. Our destroyers were firing like crazy. Missiles stricte-pointe. Explosions flashed across the dark sky. But the radar picture was still a mess. Iranian electronic warfare was jamming everything. Jake slammed his fist on the console. Those guys turned the whole Gulf into a damn blackout. I replied quietly. Yeah, and they did it on purpose. The trap. That was the moment the truth hit me. The drones weren't the real attack. They were bait. Iran had forced us to launch